This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, this session is being recorded. This is the Selenium session by Meghana. Meghana is your trainer for Selenium automation. All of you are aware of the website address and email contacts and email address. We are located in Delaware in USA and Toronto in Canada. Whoever may be the trainer, Madhu is the point of contact for all technical or non-technical questions like resume preparation, mock interviews, placement assistance, lab setup on our home computer, technical issues resolution on our home computer. These kind of things, please contact Madhu only by sending email to this address. Okay, info@getsoftwareservices.com. Okay, best time to contact me is from 6 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, and weekends you can call me anytime. Okay, so here all of you have received this Excel sheet. Have you received this one? Paljot,
Yes.
Jitendra, Parthipan. Okay.
Yes.
So in case if you didn't receive this Excel sheet for our courses, I can resend you that along with today's recorded video. I will send you this recorded video today along with the material. And it is compulsory to learn multiple tools and technologies to get the interview calls. You see here, you are trying to learn Selenium automation today. Selenium web automation by using Selenium with Java. Java-based Selenium you are trying to learn. So if some companies ask for Python also. Okay, Jitendra, I will resend it today for this Excel sheet. So Java-based Selenium is there, Python-based Selenium, C#, Ruby, anything you can be asked in the interviews. So today our focus is on Java. If you want to learn Python, we are also offering free Python classes. If you are available, you can attend all the Python and Java learning. Okay, Java, Python free classes for 5 weeks. It is a 5 weeks course. You can attend them Monday through Friday, 12 noon, starting from 19th April. So objective is that get rid of programming fear. By learning this Python Java, you will get some confidence. So please try to attend that if you are new to IT industry. I know that all of you are new to IT industry. It's nice to do that one. Okay. Please connect your laptop to your 50 inches TV. So 50 inches TV means you will have a bigger screen, and whenever you are connected to your TV, you have the audio system. It will help you to hear properly. I will be sending you the recorded video every day, right? That same video, please try to play on that 50 inches TV to get very good understanding. If you attend the class or videos on a cell phone, they are not effective. My recommendation is that play on the 50 inches TV. So also please apply 3P3R technique. What is 3P3R technique? I will explain you. In general, expectation is that automation and Selenium concepts are very tough. Not able to understand first time itself in the class. That's what happened to all the people. Don't expect to understand 100% in live class. This is a live tutor online class, right? In live classes, don't expect to understand 100%. So first time, definitely you cannot understand. For that, to mitigate the problem, apply the 3P3R technique. What is 3P3R technique? Play this recorded video for 5 minutes, pause the video, practice the lab as shown in video, and write down your own notes, repeat. 3 times you have to repeat the recorded videos. Then only you are able to understand properly. So 3P3R technique is very powerful to understand automation concepts. Okay. And no need to ask in the class, hey, Meghana, I did not understand. Please explain again. It is not required to ask. You have the recorded video. Play it. After playing the recorded video 2 times, I'm happy to set up one-on-one meeting with you and explain all of your questions. It is impossible to learn everything in the class itself. Okay. Just please use the recorded video. As I told you, whoever may be the trainer, Madhu or Meghana or Amar, someone else. I'm the point of contact for all technical and non-technical questions. Okay, so if you have any questions, I can set up one-on-one meetings with you for doubts, clarifications, and technical issues. If you are not able to install any program, or if executed with errors, please send email to info@getsoftwareservices.com. Then appropriate solution will be provided by Madhu or Meghna or some other trainer to help you to resolve the issues. Would you like to receive the recorded video and material running notes? If yes, please send me your email address through chat to info@getsoftwareservices.com. Could you send me your email address? I will wait for a few seconds, guys. Whoever need material, recorded video, please give me your email address. Okay. Thank you, Baljot. Who else? Okay. Whoever shared already, no problem. Now, in case if you didn't share, please share me the email address. Nowadays companies are looking for ninja testers. That means multiple skills are required. Instead of depth learning, focus on the breadth. You can say that instead of learning Selenium, just only Selenium, if you focus only on Selenium, it won't help you to get the interview calls and clear the interviews. So I recommend you to learn as many tools as possible. Here you have so many tools in this learning roadmap, right? Selenium is one of them. So please learn API testing tools, web services testing tools, APM, UFT, these kind of the tools and technologies. Okay, so here I have given multiple categories of the tools like test management, web automation, desktop applications, mobile automation, web services, performance testing, like this. From each category, learn at least one tool. Quality Center, Jira, definitely will be learning in QA manual testing, in web automation, Selenium, desktop application, UFT, mobile automation, APM, web services, SOAP, UA, Postman, performance testing, JMeter, load runner. If you learn all those things, then only it is possible to get the interview calls. Okay, so I will hand over the session to Meghna, and after that, if you have any questions, you can contact me. Let me to introduce Meghna to all of you guys. Just like all of us, Meghna is from non-technical education, non-IT background person. She is from electronics background, not from computer science. So that means no need to worry if you are from non-IT background. Okay. So Meghna is a IBM Rational certified software tester, and she did hospitality management and insurance domains expertise, and she was trained on lean projects. And Meghna has excellent experience in software testing in manual and automation. In the last 8 years, she worked in banking, insurance, hospitality, payment processing, these kind of things. And she conducted more than 100 batches and provided training sessions on QA, Selenium, QTP, RFT, QC, RQM, SQL, and ISTQ. Okay, this is about Meghna. I will hand over the session to Meghna, and after that, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I can be able to assist you. Okay, any questions, guys? Okay, great. Over to Meghna. Meghna, could you take over the session?
Sure, Madhu. Thank you so much. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hope you can see my screen. This is Meghna. So Madhu gave you introduction, and so now we'll start with the actual topic. So let's get started with today's session. So I think now you all know that Selenium is a automation testing tool. But before we jump into Selenium, first let's understand some basic things. So today's class will be mainly introduction, where we will learn what is testing, what is automation testing, and something about Selenium and how to install, what different softwares you need to install on your system to get started. So first, let's understand what is testing. So testing is verifying whether the application works as expected or not. So testing is basically where you check whether the application is working as expected. For example, if I have any application to test, I have a login page, and if I'm expected to test the login functionality, when I enter username and password, I click on sign in. When I click on sign in button, what is expected? Expected behavior is login must be successful, right? So when I enter username and password, I click on the sign in button. When I click on the sign in button, the expected result is sign in must be successful. Sign in must be successful. So that is the expected behavior. So checking if what I am seeing on the application is matching with what is expected. So that is nothing but testing. And testing is broadly divided into two types. Testing is broadly divided into two types. One is automation testing and the other one is manual testing. So testing is broadly divided into two types. One is automation testing and the other one is manual testing. So what is manual testing? When the testing is done by a human being. So when a human being tests the application, we call it as manual testing. And when the same test is done by a tool, when we use tools to test the application, we call it as automation testing. Right? So testing is broadly divided into manual and automation. When a test is done by a human being, when human being goes and tests the application functionalities, we call it as manual testing. And when you use a tool to do these kind of tests, we call it as automation testing. So that's manual testing and automation testing. So what is automation testing? It's a process of validating and verifying the software. You check the software. You check if it is working properly or not, but not manually, by using automation tools. So instead of a tester going and opening the application and testing it, we instruct the tool, we give instructions to the tool and tell them what should be done. So when you give instruction to the tool on what should be done, so that we call it as automation testing. So the main purpose of automation testing is to automate regression test. The main purpose of automation testing is to automate regression testing. So let's understand what is regression testing. Let's see what is regression testing. So let me explain this with an example. Now any software you take, we use softwares day in and day out, right? Every day we use some or the other software. So you take example of any software, the software goes through changes, right? So it is not the same software that you're going to use for a longer period, right? If you take example of WhatsApp, now WhatsApp, we've been using WhatsApp from so many days, but if you compare the version of WhatsApp what we had, like 6-7 years back, what we have right now, there are changes, right? Some enhancements have been done. They have added new functionalities to the software, they have modified the existing ones, they've removed the functionalities which are no longer required. So any software, it definitely goes through changes. Now let's consider the example of WhatsApp. Now WhatsApp, when it was initially launched, it had some basic functionalities. Let's call it as WhatsApp version 1. So as part of WhatsApp version 1, let's assume that these were the functionalities that they had. Like you can send messages like audio, video, or image files. Second, you can make a call to your contact. Third, you can create groups. You can also make a video call. Now let's assume that these are the features that WhatsApp had as part of WhatsApp 1. Now after some days, like after a few months, WhatsApp decided to add some new features. But when WhatsApp decides to add these features as part of version 1, what developers will do? Developers will write the code for these functionalities. Developer will write the code for these functionalities. Tester will test them. Tester will make sure that they're able to send files. Tester will make sure that they're able to make a call. Tester will make sure that they're able to create groups. They're able to make video calls. And once all these features are tested, it is released to the market, which means actual users will start using this software. Now, after a few months, the company decides to add some new functionalities. Let's call it as WhatsApp 2. Let's call it as WhatsApp 2. So as part of WhatsApp 2, apart from these 4 functionalities which were there as part of WhatsApp 1, these are still there, but they added some new functionalities. They also added some new functionalities like uh, making group video calls. They also added the functionality of status. And then they also added link to Facebook. Now let's assume that 567 is what they added as part of WhatsApp 2. 567 they added as part of WhatsApp 2. Now developer will write the code for these 3 functionalities. Right? They'll write the code for making group video calls, they'll write the code for status, they'll write the code for link to Facebook. And then tester will test them. Tester will ensure that these new functionalities that are added, 567, they're working fine. Now my question is, as part of WhatsApp 2, should I be testing only these new functionalities since 1 and 4 are already tested as part of 1, or you think these should be tested again as part of release 2? What do you think? What according to you should be done? What should be done? Test everything, right? Yes, you're right. Right. All your answers are correct. So we need to test everything. Not just 5, 6, and 7. I will test 1 to 4 as well. Why? Just to ensure that they're still working fine. Because when I release WhatsApp 2, developer is writing some code. So when he writes a new code, he might mess up the existing code, right? Something is being modified. So when he modifies, certain things, chances are there that he might mess up something which is already working fine. He might mess up the existing code. And if some of these are not working, if I'm not able to send messages, then that would be a major bug. So when he writes a code to make group video call, what if creating group stops working? So not just the new functionalities, I need to test the existing functionalities as well, just to ensure that they are not impacted due to any new code change. So whenever developer modifies the code, something that is working fine might just stop working. So just to ensure that they're still working fine, we test them again. And that is nothing but regression testing. So these four functionalities which you are going to test again as part of WhatsApp 2. So this will be nothing but regression testing. So what is regression testing? Regression testing is a test that you do on the existing functionalities. It's a test you do on the existing functionalities just to make sure that they are not impacted when a new code change is done. So every time developer modifies the code, you have to do regression testing, which means you have to test the existing functionalities. Now, if they're modifying the code, let's say 10 times or 12 times in a year, every time we have to run these basic tests to make sure that they're working fine, which means sorry, which means regression testing is something that you do repeatedly, right? Every time there is a code change or code modification, you have to do regression testing. So regression testing is something that you do repeatedly, and something that is repeatedly done, we automate it, so we get good returns. So any industry you take, any example, like a manufacturing industry, car manufacturing industry, or packaging industry, when you have tasks that are repeatedly done, usually it is not done manually. They make use of tools to do those jobs, right? For example, if you take example of a manufacturing industry, packaging industry, so they have to pack thousands of boxes, like box of anything like chocolates or fruits. So when they have to pack so many boxes, it's not feasible to do those things manually, right? So they have machines which is machines are going to do this job. So something that is repeatedly done, it's the same thing you have to do with all the boxes, you automate it. Same thing happens with the car manufacturing. When they have to manufacture so many cars, not everything can be done manually, right? They have machines, they have robots to manufacture the cars. So the repeated task is something we automate. Same thing happens in testing also, in software testing also. Something you do repeatedly automate, because when a repeated task is done by a human being, they get bored after a period of time. If you have to do the same thing again and again, you get bored and eventually you make mistakes. But same task a machine can do repeatedly. So that is why regression testing is one area where lot of automation work happens, because there things are done repeatedly. So majority of the automation, 90% of automation happens on regression test cases. So the second point says main purpose of automation testing is to automate regression testing. And Selenium is one of the most popular open source automation testing tool. Okay, Selenium is one of the most popular. It is widely used automation testing tool in the market. So what test cases can be automated? The thumb rule is same. Right? So what test cases can be automated? The thumb rule is you identify areas where things are done repeatedly. So those things you pick and automate. Like I said, 90% of regression work, 90% of automation happens on regression test. And 90% of automation happens on regression test cases. But other than that, you can also automate data-driven test and smoke test. So what we already know about regression test. Let's see what is data-driven test. So data-driven test is when you run your scripts multiple times with different test data. Now let's say, for example, I want to test login code. I want to test the login functionality with 10 different user IDs and password. Same login code, I want to test with 10 different user IDs and password. So here again, if you see, it is a repeated task. Same set of code you have to run 10 times, but with 10 different user ID and password. So here also something that is repeatedly done. And something that is repeatedly done, you automate it. The other thing is smoke test. Other thing is smoke test. So what is smoke test? Smoke test is a test that is done every time before you do your detailed testing. First, we do smoke test to check if the application is ready for testing or not, if it is fit for testing or not. Like, at least the basic things of the application must be working. I should be able to open the application. When I give application URL, the home page of application should open. When I launch URL and I see HTTP 500 error, that means this application is not stable. It is not good enough for testing. I should be able to log in. If login itself is not working, then how do I proceed with my testing? So like this, some basic things, basic functionalities of the application should be working fine. That is like a basic criteria. If these things are working fine, only then I can go ahead and do my test. So that we call it as smoke test, which is a very high level test done to check if the application is ready for testing or not. Now again, smoke test is something that you do every time developer gives you the application to test. Every time developer gives you code or the application to test, first we do smoke test, which means smoke test also is something that you do repeatedly. And something that is repeatedly done, you automate. Something that is repeatedly done, you automate. So basically in your project, what you can do is you can identify areas where things are done repeatedly. You identify areas where things are done repeatedly, and any repeated task you automate. So that way you will be saving lot of time, and when time is saved, ultimately you will be saving cost also. Okay, so that's about what is automation testing and what type of test cases can be automated. Right, so what is automation testing and what type of test cases can be automated. Now let's have a look at history of Selenium. So Selenium, like I said, is one of the most popular automation testing tool that is used in the market. Right, Selenium is one of the most popular automation testing tool that is used in the market. So let's have a look at history of Selenium. The Selenium, it has different generations. So let's start with the first generation. Selenium was first launched in the year 2004. So in 2004 was when Selenium was initially launched. It is called as Selenium first generation. Now this variant of Selenium had three components. It had three components: Selenium remote control, Selenium grid, and Selenium IDE. So these are the three components you had: Selenium remote control, Selenium grid, and Selenium IDE. These are the three components. Now let's see what are these components. Selenium remote control was the main component using which you create your scripts. So all the automation scripts are created using Selenium RC, which is called as remote control. Two other components which were part of Selenium suite is Selenium grid. Selenium grid allows you to run your scripts remotely. So if you have created a script on a Windows 10 machine, you've executed it. Now you want to run the same script remotely on a different machine. Let's say you want to run the same script remotely on a Mac computer. So you can do that using grid. You can also do parallel execution where you can run the scripts on two different machines or four different machines. So that way you can save a lot of time. So that for doing these things, Selenium grid is used. And then you have Selenium IDE. Selenium IDE is a simple tool which provides you with an option called record and playback. And using this, it's more like a scriptless automation. You don't have to write any program. Without writing any program, you can create your automation script. So we'll be learning about IDE. I'll be showing you about IDE in today's class. But the main component that we had to create our automation scripts, it was Selenium remote control, Selenium RC. But the problem with RC was creating scripts using RC was very complicated. It was not easy. Creating scripts using RC was very complicated. So if you have to use RC, so what we had to do was, now let's say this is remote control. So RC should be connected to your browser, like as in you need browser to open your application, but at the same time it should be connected to the application server. So not just the front end, you should be connected to the application server also to create scripts using RC. So problem with this approach was, for any automation tester, if he has to create scripts using remote control, he requires programming skills, any programming knowledge like Java, which is required even now with many automation testing tools. But not just programming skills, he should know the networks part also, which means he should know the network side of the application. Networking skills are also required, which made RC very complicated. Creating scripts using RC was very complicated. During this time, QTP had gained a lot of popularity. There were many projects who were using QTP for automation, and creating scripts using QTP was very simple. So Selenium was not that popular when they had initially launched the first generation. That is when they decided to make changes to the tool and launch the second generation, Selenium second generation. Selenium second generation was launched in the year 2011. In 2011, Selenium second generation was launched. Now, Selenium second generation had four components. The first three is part of first generation, but along with this, they added a new component called Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver is the new component that they introduced. Now, this was like the main component to create scripts. Now, in order to create scripts using WebDriver, you have Selenium. You use it to test your application on the browser, and whatever it responds, you validate it again using WebDriver. Now, in order to create scripts using WebDriver, you make use of a language. You need programming skills, but networking skills is not required. Now, creating scripts using WebDriver was much simpler when compared to RC. They still kept RC to support existing projects. Right? So, to support any existing project, they kept RC. So, RC was still kept to support any existing project, because there were projects who were using RC. They cannot remove it completely. They have to give projects time so they can migrate to WebDriver. Right? When Microsoft they launch a new operating system, they will not stop supporting for the existing operating system immediately. Right? When they launched Windows 10, Windows 7 was still there. They did not stop it, because there are people who use Windows 7, so they have to give them time so they can migrate to new operating system. Same thing was done here also. RC is the main component. WebDriver was the main component which was included in second generation, but RC was still kept to support any existing project. But the main component was WebDriver, and creating scripts using WebDriver was much simpler. And that is when Selenium started gaining lot of popularity. It was also open source, which means it is free. So many projects started using Selenium. And then they launched Selenium third generation. They launched Selenium third generation, where RC was completely removed. They removed RC completely. It was no longer required. People started using WebDriver. They started using WebDriver. So RC was no longer required. So they removed completely. So third generation has only three components: Selenium WebDriver, Selenium IDE, and Selenium Grid. But WebDriver is the main component using which all the scripts are created. So the stable version, I would say stable version of Selenium we have is 3.141.59. They're also planning for fourth generation, but fourth generation is still in the beta stage. Full-fledged version is still not released. So projects, they use a stable version. Any software you take, they prefer to use a stable version. So stable version of Selenium that you get to download from Selenium website is this 3.141.59, where 3 stands for third generation, 141 stands for number of major changes that have happened, and 59 stands for number of minor changes that have been done. So that's about history of Selenium. Now let's have a look at supported platforms. What different platforms Selenium supports? Selenium is a cross-platform tool. Selenium is a cross-platform tool, which means you can install Selenium on Windows. You can install Selenium on Linux. You can also install it on Mac. It supports multiple platforms, or it supports multiple operating systems. Any of these operating systems can be used to install Selenium. It's a cross-browser tool, so which means you can run your scripts on any of these browsers. It supports all these browsers. All widely used browsers are supported by Selenium. You can run your scripts on Internet Explorer, Edge, Chrome, Safari, Opera, Firefox. All these browsers are supported. It also supports multiple languages, which means you can create your scripts in any of these languages. Java is the most popular one, so we are learning Selenium with Java, but it also supports other languages. It provides a lot of flexibility to the tester. They can pick any language of their choice to create scripts. You can create scripts using Java, C#, Ruby, Python, Perl, even JavaScript. All these languages are supported. So that's about supported platforms. Now let's quickly compare Selenium with UFT. UFT or QTP, both are same. Earlier it was called as QTP. Now it has been renamed to UFT. QTP stands for Quick Test Professional. UFT stands for Unified Functional Testing. Both are widely used automation testing tools in the market. Both are widely used. So let's quickly compare Selenium and UFT. Selenium is open source tool, whereas UFT is a commercial tool. So which is why Selenium has gained lot of popularity. One reason why Selenium is so popular is it is open source, which means it is free, right? So it's free. It's a free tool. It is open source, or it's a free tool, which means companies don't have to invest any money on automation. It is free. Whereas UFT, on the other hand, is a commercial tool and it is very expensive. It will cost around $5,000 for 1 year of license. So it is an expensive tool. So that's one reason why Selenium has become so popular. But one drawback of Selenium is it supports only web applications. There are many web applications, many applications run on web these days, but it works only for web applications. So in order to automate a non-web application, you may have to go with UFT. That is why in bigger projects, in many companies, you will see that both tools are used. Like if you take Bank of America, if you see the job description, they might have mentioned both Selenium and UFT. So you might be wondering why both tools are being used. Main reason is Selenium can automate web applications. UFT is a commercial tool. So UFT can automate both web and non-web. But if they use UFT for automating all their applications, it will be very expensive. So in that case, what they do for web applications, they go with Selenium. For non-web applications, they go with UFT. Because Bank of America, if you take example of Bank of America, they'll have multiple applications, right? They'll have applications used by their bank employees. They'll have online banking applications. They'll have customer service applications. So there'll be so many applications used by a single client. Not all not all of their applications run on web. So that is why you will see big companies using both tools. Selenium is a cross-platform tool. So which means you can install Selenium on Windows. You can also install it on Linux or Mac. Whereas UFT, on the other hand, is not a cross-platform tool. It's not a cross-platform tool. UFT works only on Windows. You can install UFT only on Windows. It cannot be installed on any other operating system. It works only on Windows. Selenium, one more thing is Selenium gives you more options when it comes to programming language. You can use Java, C Sharp, Python, Ruby, Perl, JavaScript. All these languages are supported, whereas UFT uses only VB script. UFT uses only VB script. So you can create your scripts in UFT only using VB. Okay. So that is difference between Selenium and UFT. If you see, they have their own advantages. And VB script, VB stands for Visual Basic. It's a language from Microsoft. So just like how you have Java, Python, right? VB script, just like how you have JavaScript, same way you have a language called VB. VB stands for Visual Basic. VB script is Visual Basic Scripting. It's a language from Microsoft. And UFT uses VB script. So if you see, they have their own advantages and disadvantages. Any tool you take, it will have its own pros and cons. There are many factors they consider to decide on the tool, like what type of application they're automating. That is the main criteria. Are they automating a web application, or they're automating a non-web application? Is it a web application or a non-web application? Second thing they consider is the budget. Second thing they consider is the budget. That is how much money they can invest on automation, because some tools are open source whereas some are commercial. If they already have license for that tool, so all these things are considered. And skill set of the testers, what skill sets the testers have. Do they have, if they already have a team of testers, if they have knowledge of any particular language, then they may decide the tool based on that. So these are some of the factors they consider to decide which automation tool to use. But both Selenium and UFT are widely used automation testing tools in the market. Now, the next thing we are going to learn is about the installation part. But before we learn the installation part, let's understand what type of test cases can be automated using Selenium. Now, like I said, you can automate web applications. Only web applications can be automated using Selenium. So let's understand what is a web application. Any application that can be accessed using a browser and internet connection. Any application you have which can be opened on a browser and which requires internet connection, all those applications can be automated using Selenium. So let's see some examples. Now let me go to www.facebook.com. So what do you think? Can I automate this application using Selenium? What do you think? Can I automate this application using Selenium? The answer is yes. You're right. Yes, I can automate it. Why? Because in order to open Facebook, I need a browser, right? I need a browser and internet connection. Since I can access this application using a browser and internet connection, I can automate Facebook with Selenium. Right, now let me show you one more example. Let's take the example of Outlook, not outlook.com. Now let's say if I have Outlook in apps, so this one, if I have app on my computer, the Outlook app, can I automate Outlook using Selenium? Like the app, this one. What do you think? Can this be automated? Any idea? Can I automate Outlook using Selenium? No, right? No, I can't. Why? Because it is a desktop application, something that is installed on the desktop, right? So it's a desktop application, something that is installed on my desktop. Since it is a desktop application, I cannot automate it using Selenium. So this is something which we cannot automate. Yeah, if we access it using web, then you can. Outlook web version. So you also have Outlook web version. So that Outlook web version you can automate. So you have Outlook web version which can be automated, but not this. Okay. So let's take the example of Selenium. I'll go to Selenium website itself. Selenium.dev. This is the official website of Selenium. This is the official website of Selenium. So what do you think? Can I automate this using Selenium? Can this be automated using Selenium? Selenium.dev. Yes. The answer is yes. I can. I can automate it. Right? I can automate it using Selenium. I can automate it using Selenium. Why? Because I can open it on a browser. Right? So this is something which we can open on a browser. So anything that you can open on a browser, you can automate it. Since I can open it on a browser, I can automate it. So this requires browser and an internet connection, which means we can automate this using Selenium. Now, one more thing we need to understand here is there's something called as web application and a website. So let's understand the difference between a web application and a website. So what is a web application and what is a website? So web application is both web application and website. Both web application and website can be accessed through browser. Now here, if you consider www.selenium.dev, this is an example of a website. So why I'll call this as a website? Because the content of this would be same no matter who opens it. So when I open selenium.dev on my computer and you open selenium.dev, it is going to be same. It's a static content, right? So everybody is going to see the same content. Such applications where the content is static for all users, such applications are called as websites. Then what is a web application? Web application is more complex, where content is uh, customized for each user. Now we saw example of Facebook. Now Facebook is not a website, it's a web application. Why it's a web application? I have an option to sign in, and when I sign in, the contents will differ for each user. What I see on my feeds will be different from what you see when you log into your Facebook account. Right? The content is customized for each user. When you have this login or sign in option, the contents can be customized. So what the users are going to see will change, it will be different. And such applications are more complex. And these applications are web applications, they're not website. Okay, so that is the difference between a website and a web application. Now compatibility wise, both web applications and websites can be automated using Selenium. Compatibility wise, you can automate both web application and website. But main thing is Selenium is meant to automate a complex application like a web application. It is capable of testing a complex application like a web application. So we are not going to use it to automate a plain website, because testing a website is very simple. It is not that complex. But testing a web application is complex. And Selenium is capable of testing a web application. So you will be using Selenium in real time. You will be using Selenium to automate a web application and not a plain website. Okay, but like I said, compatibility wise, both can be done, but it is capable of automating a complex application, right? So we in real time we will be working on a web application, not just a plain website. I'll show you one more example. Let's go to wallstreetjournal.com. So when you go to wallstreetjournal.com, so can you tell me if this is a web application or a website? Can you look at this and tell me if it is a web application or a website? Okay, Sultana says web application. Parthipan says web application. Any other answers? Anyone? Is it a web application or a website? Okay, sign in is on the top right. So it's a web application, could be a website. Okay, website. Okay. Yes, like you see, you have an option to sign in here, right? On the top right corner, if you see, you have an option to sign in. So when you have an option to sign in, it means it can be customized, right? The content can be customized for each user. The content can be customized for each user. You can customize the content. So you can set your preference, what kind of what type of news you want to see. Do you want to see internet? You want to see something related to sports, economic, politics? What kind of news you want to see? So you can customize it. So the content can be customized for each user. So the users, what they see might be different, right? So this is an example of a web application. Okay, so this is a web application. Since the content can be customized, so this is an example of a web application, not a website. So basically, any application that you can open on a browser and which requires internet connection, you can automate it using Selenium. But mostly, like in real time, you will be working on a web application where uh, contents can be customized for each user. So such applications are called as web applications. And Selenium is meant for automating such complex web applications. Okay, so that's about what type of applications you can automate. So we learned about what is testing, what is manual and automation testing, and what type of test cases can be automated: regression test, smoke test, data driven test, or any areas where things are done repeatedly automated. We also studied about history of Selenium, what was there in first generation, second generation, and third generation, and we compared Selenium with UFT, two popularly used automation testing tools in the market. Then we also studied what types of applications you can automate using Selenium. The next thing we are going to learn is the installation part, what different softwares you need and how to install them. But before we see the installation part, since it is a 2 hours class, we usually take a short break of 5 minutes after an hour. So you can, grab some water and continue with the class. So let's take a short break of 5 minutes. After break, I'll tell you what different softwares you have to install and how to install them, so we can get the setup ready before we start with Selenium. Okay, so I'm going to start a timer for 5 minutes. I'll start the timer. So we'll continue exactly after a 5 minutes break. Hello. Welcome back, everyone. So before break, we learned some basic things. So today, now we'll be learning the installation part. So let's see what different softwares you need and how to install them. So all these are open source software. So these are different softwares you need for installation. The first thing you need is Java. Since we are learning Selenium with Java, the first thing you need is Java. First, you have to install Java. So how to install Java? Let's see. So there's a document. Let me open that document. You're going to receive all these documents along with the recorded video. Whatever documents will be shown in that day's class, you will be receiving all those documents. You can refer the documents. It has steps as well as screenshots, and accordingly you can install it. And in case you're facing any difficulties with the installation, you can reach out to Madhu. That is info@getsoftwareservices.com. Now this is the URL you have to download Java from Oracle site. Go to this URL. Java 16 is the latest version that you have. You have to click on this JDK download. You have to click on JDK download. You can download and install 16, 15, all the versions are there. All these versions will work with Selenium. You can go with the latest one. But in the future class, like probably in the last week of the class, we'll be learning about one more tool called Jenkins. We'll be learning how to integrate Selenium with Jenkins. But Jenkins it works only on Java 11. Only Java 11 is supported by Jenkins. So till then, you will not have any issues. You can use Selenium with any version of Java. But in future, like when you learn Selenium with Jenkins, you will need Java 11. So better option is now only you install Java 11. So you'll not have any issues when we learn about Jenkins. Okay, so go to Java SE 11, click on JDK download. It will ask you to create an account on Oracle site. Create an account. You will be able to download it. And once you have downloaded, it's a single exe file. You just have to double click and run that file. Double click, you download this exe file and then run that file. Installation guide sheet will open. You just have to keep pressing next, next, next until you get this finish button where it will say Java is successfully installed. Follow the steps and screenshots. You will be able to install it. Now, once you have installed Java, if you're using Windows operating system, there's one small setting you have to do. Okay, so this is a one-time setting. This is a one-time setting you have to do if you have Windows operating system. And the setting is, go to this PC, right click on this PC, properties. All these steps are also given in the installation document. Right click on this PC, properties. You have to set the path where Java is installed. Here, click on advanced system settings. Click on advanced system settings. Click on environmental variables. Click on environmental variables. Here you can see the section called system variables. Scroll down, select path, click on edit. Here you need to set the path of your Java. You need to set the bin path of Java. It will be C drive, program files, Java. I have JDK 11, so JDK 11/bin. You need to set the bin path of Java. Right click on this PC, properties, advanced system settings, click on environment variables, go to system settings, select path, and here give the bin path of where Java is installed. It's a one-time setting you have to do when you're working with Java, and that is on Windows machine. And once you're done with these settings, you're good to use Java. So you can check whether it is successfully installed or not. Go to command prompt, just type cmd, open your command prompt and type javac and hit enter. Go to command prompt, just type this command javac and hit enter. When you type javac and hit enter, this command should get executed successfully without any error. You should not see any error saying javac is not a recognized command. Should not see any error which says javac is not a recognized command. It should get installed successfully. Right, so that's how you install it on Windows. Anyone using Mac here? Okay, I've already installed Java 16. Should I remove it now? No, you can go ahead. You will not have any issues till we reach Jenkins. Till then, everything will work fine. So when we start Jenkins, so that will take another 5 weeks, right? So it's okay. You practice till then. When we start with last day when we learn about Jenkins, at that time you install Java 11. You can have multiple versions of Java. That also is fine. Okay, so till now, till then you continue with Java 16. When we learn Jenkins, that time I'll tell you so how you can go with Java 11. Okay, Upasana is using Mac. So I'll show you how to install Java on Mac machine. I'll open a document on how to install it on Mac. Now you have to go to the same URL to download Java. Only thing is, instead of Windows, you have to select Mac as the operating system. But before you download Java, many Mac machines will have Java already installed. So first check if Java is already there. If it is there, you don't have to install it because many Mac machines will come with Java. So in order to check whether Java is there or not, open your terminal. Open your terminal and type this command javac-version. You just type this command javac-version. So when you type this command javac-version, if it is showing you any version of Java, like Java 11 or 14 or 16, any version of Java, if it is showing you, that means Java is already there. You don't have to install it. If it is throwing any error message saying that it is not a recognized command, if you see any error message saying it is not a recognized command, only then you go to the next step. Okay, only then you go to the next step. You go to step 2. For that you have to download Java. Okay, it's not there, then go to step 2. Download Java from the same site, Oracle site. Okay, go to Oracle site, download Java, and then accept the agreement. Select operating system as Mac. You have to download the DMG file. Okay, download DMG file and run it. You just have to press next until the installation is done. That's it. Okay. So that's how you install Java on Mac. No additional settings required for Mac. Okay, you don't have to do any additional settings for Mac. It is only for Windows. Setting the path, properties, all those things not required. Okay, so you don't have to do any additional settings for Mac. It is only for Windows. Okay, so that's how you install it on Mac. You will receive both these documents, refer, and accordingly you can install it. Okay, so once you have installed Java, the next software you need is Eclipse. So what is Eclipse? Eclipse is IDE. Eclipse is the IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Now, Selenium does not have its own IDE. What is IDE? That is where you can type or write your Java program. You need a place where you can type or write your Java program, right? So you need something where these programs can be written. Selenium does not come with its own IDE. It does not come with its own IDE. You need a place where you can type or write your Java program. And Eclipse is one such IDE that we can use. Either you can use Eclipse, there is one more IDE, it is called as IntelliJ. Either Eclipse or IntelliJ can be used. Again, Eclipse is the most popular one, so we will use Eclipse in our classes. Now, Eclipse does not actually have any installation. It's just that you have to download, extract the file. Let me show you. There's a document on Eclipse installation. This again is available for both Windows and Mac, but the steps would be same. So you have to go to Eclipse URL. The URL is given here. Copy this URL. Make sure that you use this URL only. Copy and paste this URL in your browser. Now don't click on download here. Scroll down. Scroll down. You get Eclipse for different things. Make sure that you download this one. This is the one we need. Don't download anything else, or don't directly click on the download links that are there here. Don't use this. Download this Eclipse IDE for Java developers. Eclipse IDE for Java developers. This is what we need in order to work with Selenium. Here, if you see, it is there for Windows and Mac both. Depending on your operating system, download the file. If you have Windows, click on the first link. If you're using Mac, click on the second link and download it. So once you download, it's a zip file. You need to extract the file. Extract the file. Extracted folder will look like this. There would be one complete folder like this once you extract it. Open this extracted folder. There will be this Eclipse application. This is what you need in order to open Eclipse. Okay, right click, send to desktop. You can also create a shortcut on your desktop. Okay, so when you create a shortcut on your desktop, you can easily access it from there. So you don't have to open it from here. It will be available on the desktop. It's just a archive file, zip file, which you have to download and extract it, and then open this extracted folder, which will contain the Eclipse application. Just have to use it. Okay. So that's how you use Eclipse. Again, you are going to receive all these documents. You can refer and accordingly install them. The next thing we are going to install is Selenium IDE. So Selenium IDE is one of the component of Selenium suite. But this is something which is not that popular, not that widely used in real time. The reason is Selenium IDE cannot do complex things. It is meant to do some simple task. But in real time, you may have to deal with a complex application. So creating scripts with just IDE may not be enough. So that is why we'll mainly concentrate on WebDriver, because that is where all the Java programming work is done. In IDE, you don't have to write any program. Code is automatically generated. But IDE and WebDriver are not linked to each other. They're two completely different things. IDE is an extension which you can add to either Chrome or Firefox browser. It does not work on any other browser. It is an extension that you can add for Chrome or for Firefox, and using IDE you can create some simple scripts. IDE provides you with the option called record and playback. Using this option you can create simple scripts. You don't need to write any program, but like I said, it cannot do complex tasks, complex validations. To perform complex tasks or complex validation, you would need WebDriver. Right? You will require WebDriver. So let's see how to use Selenium IDE. Okay, are we going to learn Grid? Grid again is a tool which is used when you have to run scripts remotely on a different machine. Okay, I can show you Grid. We'll have a few, extra sessions on interviews, right? So during that time, yeah, I'll show you how to use Selenium Grid. Okay. Main programming, everything is done using WebDriver. Grid is more for execution, but yeah, I'll show you how to work with Grid. Okay, now like I said, Selenium IDE is an extension that you can add to either Chrome or Firefox browser. Chrome or Firefox browser. So let's see how to add this extension. Go to Selenium website, which is www.selenium.dev. This is the official website of Selenium, www.selenium.dev. Hit enter. Okay. Now here click on downloads. Click on downloads. Go to downloads, scroll down. Scroll down to this section called Selenium IDE. Right, scroll down to the section called Selenium IDE. Here, if you see, it is an extension that can be added for Chrome or for Firefox. Now I have Chrome browser, so I'll click on for Chrome. When I click on for Chrome, I'll get this window. Here for me, it is showing as remove from Chrome. It is showing as remove from Chrome. Why? Because I already have the Selenium IDE extension. Okay, I already have Selenium IDE extension, so it is showing as remove from Chrome. But when you open it for the first time, this blue color button it will show as add to Chrome. Okay, instead it will show as add to Chrome. So just click on that button, add to Chrome, and this IDE extension will be added to your Chrome browser. IDE extension will be added to your Chrome browser. Now once it is added, go to this three dots or just click on this extension and select Selenium IDE. Now Selenium IDE provides with this simple option called record and playback. You get the simple option of record and playback. So what is record and playback? Let's understand what is record and playback. In this, you don't have to create any script. You don't have to write any program. So here what you do is, whatever steps should be done on the application, you do those steps manually on the application and show IDE what should be done. Whatever steps should be done on the application, I will do those steps manually once and show IDE what should be done. When you're doing this, IDE is going to record all the steps that you did. It is going to make a note of all the things, all the steps that you did on the application. When you play back, when you run or when you play back, IDE is going to perform the same operation on the application. Whatever actions or steps you had done during recording, when you play back, IDE is going to do same actions on application. This simple concept we call it as record and playback. It is just like recording a video on your phone. So when you want to record something, recording would be a one-time effort, right? So you click on the record button and the event is recorded. So once it is recorded, it's a one-time effort. You can play the recorded video any number of times. Same thing, you can play back any number of times. It is just like that. Recording the steps would be a one-time effort. Once you have recorded the steps, you can play back the steps any number of times. So this concept we call it as record and playback. And that's exactly what IDE provides you. You can do record and playback. So let's see how to do it. Now, as soon as you open IDE, you'll get this window. In this window, it will ask you, do you want to record a new test in a new project, or you want to open an existing project, you want to create a new project, or you want to close IDE. I'll click on the first link. I'll click on the first link. Record a new test in a new project. Record a new test on new project. Record a new test on new project. It will ask for project name. It will ask for project name. I'll give the project name as, let's say I want to do some recording on a Facebook page. So I'll say Facebook login test. Give any name to your project. Click on OK. And then it will ask you base URL. What is base URL? There's nothing but URL on which you want to do your test, or nothing but URL of the application. So you have to give URL of the application in this box. So I'll give Facebook URL. Okay, so I'll write HTTP. I have it here, so I'll just select this. I want to record my test on Facebook. And then you click on start recording. You click on start recording. When you click on start recording, if you see, it opens the Facebook page. And you can also see this box here at the bottom which says Selenium IDE is recording. right? You can see a small box here which says Selenium IDE is recording, which means whatever steps you do on Facebook now, everything will be recorded by IDE. All the actions or operations you're going to do on Facebook, Selenium IDE will make note of all those things. Now here, let's say I want to enter some invalid email address. I'll attach some number, hotmail.com, and then I want to enter some password. I'll click on login. Here I have this box here. Again, I click on login. Now, once I have recorded my steps, right? Let's say I'm done recording my steps. Now, once you are done recording your steps, go to IDE. Top right corner, you can see there is a stop recording button. On the top right corner, there is a stop recording button. Click on stop recording. Click on stop recording. When you click on stop recording, you will get this window. Here you have to give a name to this test. I'll give the name as FB invalid login test. Let's give the name as FB invalid login test. Click on OK. Now whatever steps we did during recording, everything is noted down by IDE. Here if you see, first we open the application, right? We open the Facebook page. So we have the open command. What URL we have used, that you can see on the top. We recorded on this URL, www.facebook.com. On this URL we recorded our test, and then it also has made a note of the window size. And then I clicked on the email address box. I typed this email address, Ironman some number at hotmail.com, and then I clicked on the password box and I typed this password. I clicked on sign in, and then we clicked on the login button. We clicked on sign in, we clicked on the login button. So whatever steps we did, everything is noted down by IDE. So whatever actions you do, everything will be noted down by IDE. Okay. So when you play back, this concept is recording. This concept is recording. When you play back, what happens? When you play back, IDE is going to do the same operation on your application. Whatever you did during recording, when you play back, IDE is going to perform same operation on the application. Right? So to play back, you click on this run button. You click on this run button to play back the test. Just click on run and see what happens. I'll click on run. It says preparing to run your test. It opens Facebook page. It enters email address, password, and it clicked on the login button. Whatever steps I had recorded, same thing was done by IDE. Right? Let me show you. Again, I'll click on this run. This is the run button that you have to use. It will open Facebook page, enter the same email address, password, click on login, again click on login. Right? So whatever steps we did, all the steps that were recorded, IDE did the same steps on the application. And when you do the execution, down below here, you'll get the result. You'll get the result here. Each and every step, it will show you the result. First, it opened Facebook page. And if that step was successful, you will see OK. OK means that particular step was a success. It was able to do that step. And then set window size. Click on email address, type this email address, click on password, type the password, click on login. So basically, whatever steps we did, it completed successfully. IDE was able to repeat the steps on the application. And once the execution is complete, you will get this log, which is going to tell you what happened with the test, whether the test was a success or a failure. So this one worked. So I see green colored for all the steps. In case any of the step fails, then you will see that in red color. So it is going to tell you whether your test was a success or a failure. So this concept, we call it as record and playback. Okay, so this concept is called as record and playback. Here if you see, you don't have to write any code, right? So we are not writing any code here. So you don't have to write any code. So without writing code, we are able to run the scripts. Right? So without writing any code, we are able to run the script. So this concept is record and playback. But just record and playback will not help us in real time, because in real time you may have to validate some complex things for which some amount of programming is required. So IDE is not that widely used in real time. Whatever I have done, you can, practice the same thing, but don't spend more than half an hour on IDE. Even when you go to job interviews on Selenium, they will specifically ask you if you know WebDriver. They'll not ask you if you know IDE, because that is something which is not that widely used, right? So WebDriver is what is widely used. So you can spend around half an hour, maximum 1 hour on exploring IDE, just record and playback, whatever I've shown you, but don't spend more than that. It is, good for a beginner who wants to understand how automation works, what is automation, and what or how these scripts execute. For that, IDE is good. But as and when we move further, we have to learn how to create scripts using any automation testing tool. For that, we will not need IDE. Our main focus will be on WebDriver, because just record and playback is not sufficient in real time. Now, when you record a script on IDE in the backend, it actually generates an equivalent JavaScript. IDE uses JavaScript, not Java, JavaScript. It's a scripting language. It uses a language called JavaScript to create the equivalent scripts. Create equivalent scripts, it uses JavaScript. So when you record in the backend, it is actually created a JavaScript language. So that's IDE, as in how you add it to your Chrome as an extension, and how you can use it to record and play back a test. Okay. So that's IDE. Now the next software we need is Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so the next software we need is Selenium WebDriver. But we are not going to learn how to install Selenium WebDriver now. Why? Because before we understand WebDriver, there are some basic things in Java we have to learn, without which we will not understand WebDriver. So tomorrow's class will be learning some basic concepts of Java which are must to start with WebDriver. Though we cannot complete everything in Java in a single day, but we will have to learn some basic things without which we will not know what is WebDriver. So first we will learn those basic things, and after that I'll show you how to implement WebDriver. Okay, so for now we will not learn how to implement WebDriver. This we are going to learn later once we are done learning some Java basic concepts. Okay, so before tomorrow's class you can install these two things which are must before we start with WebDriver. Install Java, install Eclipse. Keep these two things ready and do some practice on IDE also. At least one simple script like what I have shown in the class. Record and playback a simple script on IDE. Apart from that, it was mainly the introduction part, but before tomorrow's class, do these installations, because tomorrow we'll be starting with Java basics. It will be easy, as in when we cover the topics parallelly you can do your practice. Okay, so that's about the installation part. There is a note written here. Make sure that you follow these notes also. It says after installation of Eclipse, check your plugins folder and verify it is not empty. Now, for example, once you have downloaded Eclipse, you've extracted the folder, you open the Eclipse folder, you can see plugins here. Right, you can see plugins here. Open plugins, make sure that it is not empty. Plugins folder, make sure that the plugins folder is not empty. It should not be empty. It's one thing you have to check. So that's about the installation part. Now, like I said, before we start with Selenium WebDriver, there are some basic things in Java we have to learn first. So we learn those basic things in Java and then we will start with WebDriver. Now, Java is a very vast language. We don't have to learn entire Java. Java is actually split into two. One is called as core Java and the other one is called as advanced Java. One you have core Java and the other one is called as advanced Java. Core Java is what we need to create our Selenium scripts. Advanced Java is out of scope. Advanced Java is something which will be used by developers to develop applications. It has many advanced concepts like J2EE, applets, etc. But advanced Java is used by developers to develop application. Right? You don't need advanced Java, it is used by developers. Our main focus will be on core Java because Selenium requires core Java. Again, entire core Java is not required. Core Java itself is very vast, but you will not need everything for Selenium. All the Java concepts that we need to create our Selenium scripts, we will be covering all of that. And Java is also object-oriented programming language. It's called as OOPS. OOPS stands for Object Oriented Programming Language. There are many object-oriented programming language. You have Java, Python, C Sharp, C++. All these are object-oriented programming languages. which means they have the basic concepts. The basic concepts are all same. There are many concepts in OOPS, which is there in all these languages, and Java is a object-oriented programming language. We'll be learning all those OOPS concepts that are required to create your Selenium script. Okay. But like I said, we'll first initially start with some basic things. Once we have covered those basic things, after that we'll be learning Selenium WebDriver and Java in parallel, because WebDriver is actually written in Java. Okay. Now first we will learn how to use Eclipse. Eclipse is an IDE. Selenium is a headless tool, which means it does not have its own user interface. Whereas UFT, if you take example of UFT, UFT has its own user interface. It's like a one single software. You download and install it, you get everything in that. It comes with its own IDE also, where you can go and write your Java or any of your programs, like VB script code in case of UFT. Whereas Selenium does not have its own user interface. It uses a third party user interface like Eclipse, where you can go and type. I need a place where I can type my Java program or a Selenium program, right? It is just like when I have to write an essay. I have the content with me, but I need a place where I can type this content, right? I need a Word document, or I need a notepad where these contents can be written. The Eclipse is just like that. It's an IDE where you can go and type your program. It's very simple, user friendly, easy to use when compared to one more IDE called IntelliJ. So many companies prefer using Eclipse. Now in Eclipse, there are four main tabs we'll be using. One is called as a workspace. Second one is called as a package explorer. Third one is called as console output, and the fourth one is the editor window. So what is a workspace? Workspace is group of Java projects. It's like a folder where you are going to store all your Java projects. Whatever Java projects you are creating, it should be saved in some location. The location where you're going to store all the Java projects, it is called as a workspace. I'll show you how to create a workspace. Once you have downloaded and installed, as in you've extracted the folder, you have created a shortcut of Eclipse on your desktop. So this is Eclipse, right? Double click on it to run. When you double click, you'll get this window. Every time you open Eclipse, you will get this window. It will ask you to select a workspace. If you're opening it for the first time, you need to create a new workspace. From the next time onwards, if you already have a workspace, you can just select an existing workspace and open it. Since this is the first day of the class, let's create a new workspace. To create a new workspace, click on Browse. Select the location. Let's say I want to create a new workspace here in D drive. D drive, right click, new folder. Create a folder. Give some name. I'll give today's date, Selenium April 17th. Give a date. So this is where I want to create my workspace. In D drive, Selenium April 17th folder. Select the location where you want your workspace. And once you've selected your workspace, click on Select Folder. Okay, this is your folder, D drive, Selenium April 17th. And then click on Launch. So if you already have a workspace, you're going to select it. If you don't have one, you have to create a new workspace. Create a new workspace. It will take some time to open IDE. Okay, so now it opens. It opens Selenium IDE. Here you have welcome page. This is the first page you get. So this is the welcome page. Close this welcome page. Close this welcome page. And here, once you have opened Eclipse, there are three main windows that you will be using. One is the package explorer, the next one is the console output, and the third one is the editor window. These are the three windows that you will be using. So what is the package explorer? Package explorer is this, where you will see list of all the Java projects that we have created. Right now we haven't created any, so it is empty. But when we create Java projects, all those projects will appear in this section called Package Explorer. A Package Explorer is where you will see all the Java projects that are created. This is one window we will need. The other window is the console window, which you will get here at the bottom. Right now it is not there because we haven't written anything, but when you write a program and you run it, you will automatically get the console window. Console window is where you can see the output of your code. When you write a program and you run it, the output of the program will appear under console window. You'll get it automatically when you run the program. Whenever you run the program, automatically the console window will appear with the output. And then here what you have is the editor window. This is called as the editor window. Right now it is grayed out because we haven't created anything. But once we create few projects, like once we create a project, with this editor window we will get, where you are actually going to type your Java or Selenium code. Java or Selenium code will be written in the editor window. These are the three main things that we will need when we are working with Eclipse. Package Explorer with list of all the Java projects that we have created. And then we have this editor window where we are going to write Java or Selenium program. And then you have this console window. Here you will get the output. Okay, so these are the three main things that we'll be using in Eclipse. Now, the next thing we are going to learn is Java basics. Now, Java, like I said, is an object-oriented programming language. There are many OOPS concepts we have to learn in Java, but to start with, there are three main things we will be learning. We'll be learning about what are classes, what are objects, and what are methods. In order to start with WebDriver, these three things are must. So first we will learn these three things. We'll be learning what are classes, what are objects, what are methods. If we don't know what are classes, objects, and methods, it is very difficult to understand WebDriver. That is why we are not starting with WebDriver. Before that, we will learn these three basic things in Java. So once we have learned these things, we will then start with WebDriver and we can learn Java and WebDriver in parallel. So as part of Java basics, first we'll be learning these three things: classes, objects, and methods. Okay, so I've opened Eclipse. First, let's create a project. To create a project, you can directly click here, or you can also go to File, New, select File, New, Java Project. Go to File, New, Java project. Give a name to your project. You can give any meaningful name. I'll give the name as Java Basics. Give any meaningful name to your project. Since we are learning some basic things in Java, I'm giving the name as Java Basics. Click on Finish. Now, when you create a project, you will get this window where it will ask you, do you want to create some module file? Make sure that you click on Don't Create. Okay, never create this module.info file. Always click on Don't Create. Okay, so never create module.info file. Just click on Don't Create. So Java Basics project is created. So tomorrow's class, we will learn the three basic things: classes, objects, and methods. We have only 2 minutes left, so I'll not start it today. We'll start fresh tomorrow. Tomorrow will be an important class. Before that, make sure that you install Java and Eclipse Practice ID. Keep them ready. Tomorrow we can start with Java Basics. Okay. Tomorrow date is April 18th. Any questions, anyone in today's class before we wind up? Anyone has any questions? Yeah, you will receive these recording in some time. It takes some time to get converted, and then it will you will receive the link with the recorded video and also the documents. Okay. Okay. All right. If there are no questions, we'll stop here and we'll meet again tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow, same time, we will have the next Selenium class, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Good day. Bye bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye.